right, tip number 4 is to teach them to problem solve. I focus a lot with kids, maybe 9 years old and up, and I've worked with all ages, but teaching like a lot of them that I see, especially in my practice, they may come to me in middle school and they just don't have problem solving skills. Like they don't know how to solve a problem, which guys, it's a problem for us, right? Because they're gonna be teaching us one day and be our doctors, and we need them to have problem solving skills. So if you have an anxious child, you want to normalize whatever nervous feeling they're having based on their presenting problem, if it's a rational problem to have. And so the example I'm giving, especially with the age that you guys have your children, if you're going to go out of town for the first time, right? You and your husband are finally going to take the trip that you need for your sanity away from your children, but you've never left them before. And the child's nervous, like, Mom, what am I going to do? I've never spent 6 or 7 nights away from you. If you're really lucky and you get to take a 6 or 7 night trip away from your children. I've never gotten to do it, but I'm sure someone has. So that is when you talk to them about, okay, what can we do to ease your nerves? Not, okay, honey, I can't do it. We're canceling the trip, right? We're not going to do it because it's going to make our kid uncomfortable. And then you help them. You don't tell them. We have so many words as adults. We have so many words we tell them, and our kids can only process some of our words. So instead of telling them, hey, we can do this, you can, go to grandma, say, what can we do? Right? Sit down together with them, put the ball in their court some. What can we do to make you feel more comfortable? Right? Just like we're going to do homework and we're going to improve in our reading, we're going to improve in our spending the night skills, right? So maybe we could stay with grandma for a night, okay? But this is a process that you want to go through with them and not just tell them everything that they can do. Because we all know it up here, and so sometimes we're just like, lots of information, and they never had a chance to really think for themselves. Tip number 5 is connections, and this again kind of piggybacks after what Dr. Wisely was talking about. Our kids have to have, and I have lots of different presentations, and I was pulling some slides in and deleting them, but because I wanted to try to focus, but just that authentic connection, that time with you, that reading time, that our phones are away from us, we're ignoring everything. They've got to have a safe relationship, and hopefully it is with their parents, not all the time. But this allows them to have, a non-judgmental conversation with you. This allows them to come and tell you, because they're safe enough to say, hey, I made a mistake, or I messed up, or I told a story at this age, I wasn't honest. That is going to help them, and your ability to control your emotions, or our emotions as parents, is going to help them when they're 16 and they feel safe enough to say, yeah, I got in the car with someone I wasn't supposed to, but I told my parent because I felt okay, I felt safe enough to. So these authentic connections, and think about it, this is common sense. I mean, if we have an authentic connection with a friend, we're going to disclose to them and tell them our feelings, or our spouse. So your kids need that as well. Tip number 6 is teaching concrete skills. So you want to focus on the specific skill they need to learn in order to handle whatever situation they're in. So a lot of times we're real vague with kids. So for example, if your child is nervous about making friends, and this really starts to happen, I feel like in 4th and 5th grade. So everybody's friends up till 3rd grade, and then 4th and 5th grade, then by 6th grade it veers off, and we have cliques. But you want to be concrete with them. So, all right, they're nervous making friends. Teach them conversation starters. Like, how do you start a conversation, right? What would you say to a friend? And then you've got to model that with your child and go back and forth with them so that they can practice. So teaching them concrete skills in any situation is super important, just to be very specific about what they can do in in whatever situation that they're struggling with is also going to build that resilience. Another example could be, homework, teaching them, like they're having a hard time getting their homework done. They're not sure what to do about it. 3rd grade, they really start kind of getting homework, for the first time. So talk about what can we do about this? Do they need a study station? Do they need to start learning how to prioritize? But you really just want to teach them actual specific things that they can do to solve whatever problem it is or challenge they have lying ahead of them at that time. This is such a big one. I preach this at my practice so much, but because parents come in, why did they do this? Why? And I'm like, take why and throw it away, okay, because they don't know why, so we may never know why, and we can spend so much time wasting it wondering why, all right? If we apply it to ourselves, like, why did I do this, when I was this age? I don't know why. So one reason is their frontal cortex is not all the way formed until you're like, 25, 26 now, okay? So take why and get it out of your vocabulary, especially with the younger kiddos. It's not helpful in promoting problem solving and thinking skills, so at all. So if in this example I borrowed from Lyons, he said, if your child left their bike in the rain and you ask why, what are they going to say? Well, I'm a careless 8-year-old. No, they're going to say, I don't know. I wasn't thinking. I don't know. So you want to ask how questions and what questions, okay? This is going to get them thinking. So how, you left your bike out in the rain and your chain rusted. Okay, so how are you going to fix that? Right? What are you going to do about it? And this is where I will talk a little bit later about natural and logical consequences, right? Their chain rusted, and so instead of you just running out, especially if we're talking about an 8-year-old, and fixing it for them, you ask them, how can they contribute to this and help fix this problem? They may go online, they may research it, they may pull money out of their piggy bank to say, I can help pay for it. But putting the ball back in your kid's court is so important because they come up with some awesome things. I mean, in therapy, I do it all the time. I'm like, oh, that was a great idea, and the 7-year-old came up with it to solve their problem because they're allowed that time and space to think about what could I do about this situation. So throwing your why questions out, asking them how they can address it. You left your bike out in the rain and it rusted. How are you going to fix that? And especially with this age, how are we going to fix that? What can we do, together? Because you're going to need to help them. Another one is, how do you handle the noisy kids on the bus that bug you? So maybe your child's upset about the bus. Maybe your child sits by someone who drives them crazy and annoys them, or is having lunch with them and, oh my goodness, they want to be separated. So what can you do? And have them sit and help them problem solve. What they can do about this. So it's the what and the how. And they'll come up with things like, I could ask my teacher to move me. Yes, you could. You could do that. You could ask your teacher. And if they're too nervous, you could email my teacher, Mommy or Daddy. Yes, I could. I could do that. So help them think of what and how, and we avoid why. Questions so far or comments? Okay. All right, I talked about this earlier because I got ahead of myself, but don't provide them all the answers. So use the phrase, I don't know. I tell parents, it's called, broken record technique is what we call it. I don't know about that. I'm not sure. You're kind of playing dumb a little bit because you have a million things you could share with them, but we are learning to talk less, listen more, right? Less words from us. So you're going to follow that with problem solving, prompting questions. So ask them, hey, make your best guess. Or what do you think? Another good one is, what do you think your best friend so-and-so would say if they were in this situation? That's a really good one. Kids are like, oh, okay. So this is going to help them learn to tolerate uncertainty, right? Especially if you have a highly anxious child. I can relate to this. I'm a highly anxious child, especially your gifted, highly anxious children. You're like, I'm not sure. I don't know about that. I don't know that answer right now. It's because they've got to be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And not knowing all the answers all the time because that's life. And so that's something really important for them. Another example, if your child asks if they're getting a shot at the doctor's office, you say, I don't know. And you may really know, but that's okay. And you may be due for a shot, but if you are, how are you going to respond to it, right? And then this is another way to just get their wheels turning and, prompt that problem solving, and you're working together, which all in the end is building resiliency for them to be able to solve their own problems. If you have one of these children that are, am I going to get sick today? I don't know. You may get sick today. And if you do get sick, what can you do about it when you get to school? Sit and think, and all the answers. You could go to the nurse, you could tell your teacher, but have the kids start thinking this for themselves. How and what can you do with some of these problems that you're facing? Tip 9 is spirituality. And in my experience in the last, 14 years that I've been working with kids and practicing and being in counseling, so I have noticed that with my adults and with my kids, if they're engaged in some type of spiritual process, okay, no matter what, if it's praying, if it's, yoga, if it's just exercise, nature walks, whatever it is, they tend to bounce back faster. Okay, they've got something else bigger than themselves. And we all know that at this age, our kiddos are very egocentric, and that's normal. But that is something that I've found. So if you want to grow, their resilience, you want to add things that, in their life that really help grow their spiritual life, whatever that may look like for you and your family. And a lot of kids are, right now into the meditating and being calm and that. And so that's something really important to help foster with them. Again, however that looks for you guys.